Shalom, family. It's good to see everybody here. A special hello to the True Royal family and the One LVZ for joining me on this live stream. So, y'all know what the topic is: Karmelo Anthony. Now, those of you that know the story, then you know this is somebody that went to a game and two twin brothers approached him and told him to get out of his seat, as if this is Jim Crow and he's Rosa Parks and got to get in the back of the bus, So, everything just kind of spiraled out of control. But one thing I'm glad about this young man, he stood up for himself. He didn't back down. And, it's funny how there are videos and the police have threatened everyone. If they showed the video, they could get arrested. I just don't see how. Is that lawful? Is that a law? If you post a video, you get arrested? What are they doing? Are they making stuff up?
Yeah. I mean, I, this current administration, I don't know why. Yeah.
Nothing surprised me. They're trying to control the narrative,
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, I don't doubt anything anymore. I always think to the extreme now when it comes to the enemy, and their true nature has came all the way to the full surface because they are an inadequate group of people, and the very thing that we've been talking about for years, and we're really getting to see their truest nature in this rawest form.
Oh
So,
yeah.
mhm.
And y'all watch what they be saying. Because Donald Trump and them, I notice one thing. They try to say things in a jokingly way, but they are definitely serious.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know I'm veering off topic. You know that one Latino guy they sent over to El Salvador?
How
Well,
can
not
I
only
forget?
is
He
Donald
here.
Trump, yeah, not only is Donald Trump refusing to get him back, the president of El Salvador is refusing to send him back.
Damn.
Yeah. Yep. And, and
He can't
and
get
just
back.
and just real quick to stay right there real quick, Lisa, and how I can bridge it to this story. And y'all forgive me if I'm kind of low. I got pneumonia, so I've been trying to beat
Oh
that.
Oh,
no,
Uh,
LVZ, hell no. Oh man, I hate hearing that.
Lord
Yeah,
have
man.
mercy.
Yeah, me and Mimi got pneumonia, so I've been. That's
Oh,
why I've been
Mimi's sick
down.
too? Oh, poor
Yeah,
baby.
she gave to me. Yeah, but but
Wow.
um, but what I was saying, I was just talking about this earlier to my son, telling Jabari. I was like, now, remember, I was arguing with all these people talking about mine. Look, you keep talking about we got birthright citizenship. You can't send us away from here. Negro, that was only dependent upon the 14th Amendment and the Supreme Court who on Donald Trump's side. So when he whispering to the president of El Salvador how he like to send homegrown terrorists, and when he mentioned what they were in that press conference, somebody that hit somebody over the head with a bat and rob an old lady or push people on the subway, I got to thinking. I said, well, if they don't care nothing about the 14th Amendment, that literally means we are not citizens. And a case like this right here, if Texas do the Texas thing and send him to jail, they could literally say, nah, we ain't gonna send him to jail. Let's send him to El Salvador too, because technically he ain't no citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? I have been thinking about that whole thing, and I said maybe something done happened to him,
Oh yeah, I'm thinking he
and that's
dead.
why they are refusing to send him back because something done already happened to him in there. Because that's a
Wow.
damn prison colony.
Yeah,
That's a prison colony,
he was supposed to
Yep.
he was supposed to come back on the 7th. Damn.
right? Yeah.
Ooh.
Yep.
So
That
that's what
he
I'm
probably dead.
suspecting.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump made a comment on even sending American citizens to that prison.
Exactly.
He ain't joking, y'all. He
No,
ain't
And
he's
that's
not.
joking. If
and that's
he
why
can
this thing.
send these
Yeah.
brothers behind bars over there, you think they're not cooking this up and planning it out? They are.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what I was
They are.
thinking.
Don't make no mistake about it. Watch this case because
Mm-hmm.
this case is very pivotal. I know it's somebody that's not like us, but still, if they can get away with not sending him back and he didn't commit a crime, just imagine what they'll do to our people.
Yeah,
Right.
because what's going on is um Trump is in contempt, with many of the judges, and he's not following any of the judges' orders, and they're not even pursuing the law. They just sitting there like, oh wow, he really didn't did this. He really showing these judges, nah, I'm gonna defy you. I'm gonna do what I want to do. He put out an order for these people to go back to work up here in the Bay Area. You think they released it and had all them people come back to work? Mm-mm. Nope.
Mm-mm.
He's doing
No,
whatever
That's
he
what I'm
he's
want
about.
been
to do.
defying court order. Yeah, he's been defying the
Mm-hmm.
court orders the whole time. But
Mm-hmm.
see, it's the court's fault for not enforcing it. They're not enforcing anything. They're
Mm-hmm.
That's
just
what I'm about.
making these rulings and that's it.
But that's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm about to say, Lisa. That's the thing. The court can't enforce laws. They can only interpret and tell you what they are. It's up to law enforcement to enforce the laws And whose side are they on?
And who's going to enforce the law on the president? They're just not
Okay,
going to
but
do
Exactly.
it.
I
They're
I
not
di-
going to do it.
I disagree to some extent. These judges can enforce the law when it comes to us. Now, if one of us would be in contempt, they will send the marshals to your house, to your
Yes,
job.
Right,
but
but
that's
we're
because
not
the
talking
marshals
about, but
want to
that's
come.
that's totally different from them
Right.
enforcing the law on Donald Trump.
Yeah,
Trump, you
that's
can't
true.
send
Donald
a
That's
Trump
true.
marshal
being
to the
the
president.
sitting president,
Yeah.
you see, he's not abiding by the rulings, and they're doing absolutely nothing.
Because you can't send a marshal on the president.
Right,
I didn't say that, LVZ. I said I didn't totally disagree with you. I said to some extent when it comes to us.
right.
But we
I'm
don't
telling
have
you
that
something.
power.
But
I'm
but
telling you
the,
something I have seen, and I'm telling you something somebody in my family have experienced where
oh
they
yeah, no,
defied the judge, and the next thing they know, the marshals was at their job because of a
right.
judge's order.
When it comes down to us, they'll spare no expense.
That's
Right.
They'll
right.
come
Because
after us. But
we
Donald
can't
Trump,
stop thinking.
let's be real. Donald Trump
Right.
is a white male in America,
Right.
and we know
Right.
they get away with more than anyone else up in
Mhm.
here.
Right.
And until the courts get a backbone and find a way to enforce the rulings, Donald Trump is just going to sit on anything they say. They're not going
Mhm.
to. He's not going to move on it.
Mhm.
But he
They've
know.
been told to send 24,000 people back to work. He ain't done it yet.
But that's the thing. If you got a court order and you done sent it to, when you get a court order, that's literally the court's job, just to interpret the law. They supposed to send it. Then when they interpret it and say, all right, this is supposed to happen. That's when the police, the law enforcement or whoever, are supposed to do something about it. My
Right.
point is, when the people who enforce the law are in his corner, who you gonna send? You can't send the military. He got control of the military. You can't send the police if they won't go. See, police can choose to just not enforce the law. And even if the judge tell them, hey, look, and then what's gonna happen? The judge gonna say, okay, well, we hold the police department in contempt. Well, who gonna lock up the police department? No, the police?
Mhm.
No. So yeah, this just it's just a big old it's just a big flex because again, when that court ruling came down saying that you can't arrest or lock up a sitting president or charge a sitting president, it was basically a who gonna check me law. That
Right.
means nobody can check me while I'm the president.
And that right there, and there should be no such law where the president is above the law. But in this country, this is what they do. And it just goes to show you the level of corruption in politics is through the roof. If there's any criminal activity going on, it's in politics more than anywhere else.
Biggest crooks in
I'm
the
just
world
telling you.
sitting in, yeah, biggest crooks in the world sitting in your state capital and your national capital.
Right. Right. But if you're some small time mayor and you done stole some money,
Oh,
government money, oh yeah, they gonna lock you up. But when
eh,
it comes down to the president, oh no, they're not
nah,
gonna touch
yeah, I'm
Donald
about to
Trump.
say, yeah, I'm about to say, you'll have people doing 8 million videos about this small time mayor in some city you didn't even know about, talking about she need to be arrested. Meanwhile, we were violating everybody's rights. But this case with Carmelo, to be honest, like I said, I've been sick, so I hadn't got a chance to get into it. But I've recently gotten into it, and like I said, after I seen some of the witnesses, they like you said, they got videos, but they won't show them. So it's witnesses that's talking, and I've
Right.
heard several witnesses say that that boy was already there, and they was trying to jump him. They was
Right.
trying to jump him.
Yeah.
You get what you get. And then we got to
Exactly.
understand what state we was in. What state was
Hmm.
they in? Texas. And
Texas.
what
Texas,
did
of
and
all
what,
places.
of all places? Now, what did the judge just do? The judge just lowered his bond, which means that was telling to me when I seen that the other day, so he could get out and they lowered his bond. I said that means something, because that's racist ass Texas, y'all. And
Right.
a judge will not pass up a chance to barbecue a black man that did something.
Amen. That's what
That
we were
means
saying.
that
Mhm.
means somewhere this judge done seen or seen some type of evidence where not only he know, like we know, this boy ain't really no threat to the public, ain't like he Michael Myers running around just stabbing people, but also they must have saw, yeah, these
Yeah,
white boys did something
that's
to
what
him.
I had said yesterday, LVZ. They had to show that video to the judge. They may not want to show it to the public, but they showed that video to the judge.
And that's
And she did not pull her ruling out of thin air. She
no,
based it on something that she saw.
and that's what that was extremely telling to me the other day. When I saw that, I said, okay. And then now that he's home, and like y'all two was talking about the GoFundMe, that's when I really like got into it. When I saw white people arguing about, oh, they're giving this killer money. So then that's when I had to get my Twitter finger,
They gave Daniel Penny over $2 million.
and that's when I started working my Twitter fingers and saying, it's funny, you ain't had nothing to say about. I started with George Zimmerman's $1 million. I started with uh help me out, y'all. What's
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yes. Uh-huh.
nah, y'all moving too fast. Nah, come on, help me, y'all. Mike Brown, the guy that killed Mike Brown. Darren
Mhm.
Wilson.
Darren
Yeah,
Wilson. Yeah,
he got
Yeah,
a million
he got
dollars.
he got
yeah,
a
he got
million.
1.5. That's what I'm about to say.
Hmm.
GoFundMe ain't take his money. Then I went to Kyle. I was like, look at all these white folks that killed somebody. I ain't had no problem with GoFundMe giving them money for their defense team. So now when it's a black guy and the shoes on the other foot, all of a sudden, oh, they shouldn't allow this murderer to get money. Oh
Mhm.
my Lord. Why is he
Right.
getting money? So
Yeah.
for
Well,
defense.
that's just your classic 101 racism. Yeah,
And
So
a black guy is not entitled to defense, but a white
Lisa,
man is.
Lisa, when I had emailed you, technically, it's not the GoFund,
yeah.
but because I've been checking it all night, it's called Give,
Give,
Send,
send,
Go,
go.
Go,
Yeah, I
and
know.
yeah, and
Actually, been
Okay.
there a couple of times watching.
uh-huh,
And I know it's over $500,000 now.
yeah,
Which
yeah, and they and when he went before the judge, um, the the white folks had to mention that money he was getting, um, and all, and and
mhm.
they had to explain that this is for defense, relocation, because the family's been
Oh,
threatened,
yeah, they've been
um
harassed and
yeah,
threatened.
harassed and all. I got a lot to say about this stuff because I did a like I said, I ran up on a channel called Urban Politics. In this particular channel, it's a young black guy that lives in Texas that knew a whole lot about this the community and everything, because he got family members that live in this community.
Yeah,
And
that's
then he
my
had a
guy.
yeah, and then he had a panel of some other brothers that had some people to live in this community. I'm not going to say anything yet because I know Lisa got things lined up, but it was astounding what I had found out last night. It blew me
Yeah,
back.
well, I mean, look, it is Texas, and Texas got a horrible reputation. I mean, this is a state that have executed many innocent black people have
Mhm,
gotten executed in Texas. And I
mhm.
remember one of the lawyers for OJ, Barry Shep,
Yes.
he said it was so many black men in Texas on death row. He was getting them off, and they got tired of him getting so many out. What they did was burn all the court records so he couldn't get any more of the innocent black guys on death row out. Y'all
What?
know they did that? That's how
Wasn't that
bad it is in
wasn't that
Texas.
W? That was W, wasn't it? The help
Hmm.
that didn't that happen under W watch when he was governor.
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm. So,
Mhm.
somebody asked Lisa, can't the judges use a bond service if the marshals can't comply? No, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, they're not gonna do that.
They're not going to do that.
Mm-mm.
And right now, the marshals, you know what Donald Trump got them doing? He got them out there grabbing up immigrants,
Yeah.
illegals.
And at schools getting people protesting. So
Yeah,
it's just
you subject to get snatched off the street just for
thank you.
walking down
They're
the street.
literally just kidnapping people.
Yeah,
It's
Now,
at
True
that
Roy.
point.
Now, True Roy, you said the people had to explain to the judge about the money. Why?
yeah, yeah. Because they brought it up.
Yeah,
Um,
but that's what I'm saying.
they
See, that's
was
what I'm
trying to
talking
make
about.
it. They was trying to make it. This is what they was trying to do. When they was trying to um they didn't want them to reduce the bond,
Hmm.
and they was trying to get the majority of that money, because they know she was going to set the bond, and all. But what was so stupid about it, even with that, because we know it's always 10%. They put one figure out, but
Yeah,
some people don't know that and stuff, and so that was their goal. They was even hoping that she would even raise it even further, because they was like, well, they got all this money, and all
and that
this.
is
No,
totally.
he it's in and I'm glad when they tried to send go, the owner of it came out and he said no, he got every right to raise that money. And I'm glad he
That
didn't give in and just take it down. He
that's
came
just what I'm
out and
about to
made a
say.
statement that he was not going to take it down.
I was
Mm-mm.
about to say kudos to that guy for
Yes,
standing up
absolutely.
and saying, "Man, y'all kiss my ass. That
Yeah,
that boy deserve a chance,
a
a
defense
fair
fund.
shot in court, just like anybody else. And if he has a defense fund and people choose to donate, I'm not gonna snatch his money from him when we don't even really know what happened."
No, they don't. And they so sour about it. Like I said, when after they had released the boy, and then the other side came out and spoke. They want to say, oh, it was just like maybe just a simple fist fight. It didn't have to lead to this and that. No, it ain't. It ain't that. It ain't that.
No, it was
It
it
ain't
was
that.
2-on-1. It was
Because
2-on-1.
Getting
And
uh-huh.
he
jumped,
had every right to defend himself the best way he could.
he
Because
could. Cause I'm
remember
about to
this.
say, no,
Remember,
bro,
remember this. That young man been in jail for 12 days. And you know how they get down when we get locked up, and it's and okay, this is all on the world stage. They will check from the rooter to the tutor to find something bad on us. Something.
yeah, they
They
can't
look
find
behind,
nothing on
and
this boy.
the only thing that they tried to bring up, and it didn't even work. Well, he was in a scuffle or a fight or something like that. That happens in children's lives. So what they found out about this kid, straight A student, got 2 jobs, captain of the football team, captain of the track team, and and he goes to church faithfully. That's all they can find out about him so far.
Yeah,
Nah,
well, and it's also what came out and what started coming out is people were saying them two twins were bullies.
yep,
Yes.
They
that's
were
what I've been
bullies. They
hearing.
were bullying not just him, but a lot of people
A
got
lot of
bullied
kids.
by those
That's what I'm
twins.
about to say. I've been hearing a lot of kids say
Yep.
that these two dudes wasn't no angels. They were some your random Texas white bullies who was using the fact that they had them white numbers on their side to bully
Mm-hmm.
other kids. And what it seemed like is Shorty just said, I wasn't gonna be victimized. Y'all could do it. He from like what I said with the witness that said that boy was sitting there long before they ever came there. So
Mm-hmm.
when they came in there, he said it wasn't no friendly, like, hey man, you in the wrong tent, this, that, and the third. He said, no, they came there aggressive at him, threatening. I said, well, if they tried to jump him, let's keep it real, y'all. If we done seen cases where a black man was defending himself, knocked the white man out, and he died. So them saying it's a simple fist fight, true royal, at least I want to hear that. You can kill somebody by punching them. A hook is just as dangerous as that knife
That
if
you
you
right
know how
about
to
that.
throw it right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That I think it was like a FedEx driver or something. Some man came charging the brother, and the brother defended himself, and he punched him, and he ended up dead. You
Yeah.
You
know,
remember the guy, what was his last name? Pujols? And he worked at a fast food restaurant, and some white guy was in there, older white man,
Yeah.
called him the N word, and they got in a scuffle, and he just punched him and
Yeah.
ended up killing him.
yeah,
If y'all remember that story,
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So
So, yeah, I
so
remember it now. You were, yeah, I recall that now. Yeah, things like that
how you
happen.
doing, Tareen? How you doing, Tareen? I saw you in there.
Another thing I wanted to mention was I found out last night that one twin lived with the father, one twin lived with the mother, and I see a lot of people already up on it. We know that the father, you know, he had what you call SA charges on him.
oh
Yeah,
so
the father got a criminal history. Yes,
Yes.
so pops
that's
pops
true.
like to get his Trump on. Okay, all right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Pops
yeah.
like to get that Donald Trump on.
Yeah, just like Donald Trump. Yeah.
Like to get his Trump on.
And then another thing I found out, we know that our Carmelo Anthony, and I found out the area that they lived in is very affluent, and it is quite a few black folks that live in that area. And like that's why people were saying it goes to show you can't even be safe in a gated community because they're threatening the family. So the family has already relocated and all, and they were doing well enough where the mom didn't even have to work. The father was the sole provider of the family. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, how many times does it happen where we're out minding our own business? We're not bothering nobody. We're just out there doing what we need to do. And one of them come along and just start bothering you for no reason. How many times have we saw that played out in this country?
Yeah, well,
Too many damn times.
basically with this country, it's always double standards. They can defend themselves, but when it comes to black folks, we just supposed to just let somebody just do whatever they want to do with us, throw us around like a rag doll and all until they get their little feel, and then that's it. And
The bottom line is, True Royal, that comes out of chattel slavery. So a bunch of people that already always tell you they had nothing to do with slavery, but they sure still believe in stuff that comes out of slavery. Like a black slave should never defend themselves.
They the one.
Okay, that comes out of chattel
This
slavery.
the funny thing. This is a funny thing, Auntie. Like you said, not only are we not allowed to defend ourselves, like they are allowed to quote unquote defend themselves, they are allowed to be the aggressor and then use defending themselves as a defense. Think about it, because when
Right.
you had just said that, the first thing I thought about, Auntie, was the boy in Tennessee that worked for FedEx that got
Yeah.
shot at. And they
Mhm.
did nothing to those people. All
Nope.
dude was doing was his job.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't aggressive at all. He was just doing his job, and they run up on him and shoot at him. And I was like, damn. Once you had just said that, I thought about like, basically, not only are we not allowed to defend ourselves, we ain't allowed to defend ourselves when they allowed to be the aggressor, and when they are the aggressor, if they will use, oh, I was defending myself as a reason to be the aggressor.
Yeah, and
Isn't
then
that isn't that exactly what happened in the case of Kyle Rittenhouse?
yes,
Yeah.
yep,
He
that's
was
right.
the aggressor, and then all of a sudden he became the victim.
Right.
And then they always instantly becomes the victim. And then when law enforcement gets involved, the way that they investigate things is they investigate it in such a way to find a way out for them. They never investigate it. They will ignore what is right there before them. They can actually see footage of what happens, and it can totally look terrible on their side, and they'll say, well, you don't know what happened before the video started. That's just how they mindset. They don't think like us at all. Keep that in mind. They don't. And
their mind is always, how can I get out of this? Or how can I talk in a way that gets this person out of it? That's how their mind works. Mm-hmm. That's why they'll say things like, well, you don't know what happened before the video. So you're just trying to look for a way out for the one that's really the guilty party. That's what you're doing when you say that.
It was like, Lisa, you showed a video a few years ago where this black guy was trying to make a delivery. This white woman was bothering him. The cops was called. Soon as they pulled up, she becomes the victim.
Yep.
Instantly.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. See, they've been, you got to understand, these people are raised on racism. And everything that you see them do, this is what they were taught in the household to do.
Yeah, Lisa.
Okay, this ain't no random stuff. They were taught when they're just try to always say they were the aggressor. They assaulted you. No. And we have seen it too many times, and we know how they play the game. We have seen it too many times.
Yeah, you're right. And Lisa, we talked about this the other night behind the scenes, where we were talking about their nature and how they just have this mean streak, and that's just how they are at home with each other, and everything and stuff. And then, like, you remember we went further into, like, when everything was shut down, when everything was shut down, how they went in on each other. And I got to thinking, damn, well, that further confirms what I've been saying for the longest. They're not fully human, and what happens is, it's like a caged animal is together, and they got to release that energy. But normally, when they go to work, they go out there and they go mess with us and do all this demonic shit that they be doing to people. It is just in their nature. And then another thing about them, this is scientifically known. Their pineal gland by the age of 13 is 85% calcified. They done found out.
I went to school with some, I don't know, Kim. I went to school with some kids in elementary school that were extremely racist. I think it might be calcified at 8.
It could be. It could be at birth, damn it, you know.
I think that's something that's at birth, honestly. That's just a defect of being white.
Yeah, that's true. Because the one thing that we know, and they'll never figure out, we can see that racism in them. We can see it. We can see it all over their face. We can even see it in their children when their children make that turn. You can see it in them. It's Now try to figure that out. I know some of y'all over here listening, but they make stuff racial. They want to talk about equal justice and all that kind of stuff. It ain't no damn equal justice. At the end
well, you can't say things shouldn't be racist, but you still got a racist society. Yeah, see, you know, that's a major contradiction. They say a lot. They'll say, "Oh, you made it about race," but your whole society has never stopped being about race.
Yeah, they want to say that this,
so they're trying to play both sides of the fence and figure that's an argument that they, it's a stronghold argument, and actually it's a very weak one.
Yeah, it is. It's like Trump and them claiming, "Oh, we're going to make this a merit-based system." This system will never be merit-based. Everything is always rigged in their favor.
Say, Capone, that's exactly what happened. That's how I look at this after I studied it. I look at this like Trayvon Martin, except Shorty looked at it and was like, man, if Trayvon had a weapon and poked George up, he'd still be here.
Oh, that's why LVZ, that's why George Zimmerman shot him, because when they had that tussle, Trayvon was actually getting the best of him.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
That's why he pulled that weapon out and shot him.
But that's why I'm saying that Shorty, Carmelo had a knife. I look at it like this. if Trayvon had him a weapon and he poked George up in the middle of that fight, George wouldn't be able to shoot him. You see what I'm saying? If he poked George ass, so I think Shorty looked at it like this. I'm in Texas. That's a state where everybody can have guns.
That's true.
Right? You don't even need no permit. You can just have a gun. So Shorty like, look, man, I got this, these dudes, I ain't gonna get gang banged and packed out. I got to get up out of here because I got to get home too.
So and LVZ, it's something that I want. I'm glad that you're speaking on something. There's a difference when a female is dealing with a bully situation and a male is dealing with a bully situation, and then the peer pressures of that and all the internal things that's going on with that. And I like you to explain that a little bit deeper, because females got a way of dealing with stuff and males dealing with this pressure. And that kid was like, the worst thing that I've always say is when somebody fear you in danger. And
right.
and we know enough about ourselves. Why would this kid be walking around with a knife?
That's what I'm about to say.
First of all, it's Texas. These mofos walk around out in the open with guns. It is not illegal, even in Texas or anywhere else in the United States, for somebody to have a knife. That's not illegal.
No, I'm not saying that part, Lisa. I was just wondering what the hell was going on in that kid's life. And what was,
I get what you're saying, True Roy. I was about to say, I get what you're saying. I'm about to say, but you know what that leads to, Auntie? What you saying is that, okay, he's had problems before. As a male, I can say that. I was telling my son, the last ass whooping I got, my father caught me taking a gun to school when I was young. And I was going to do something stupid. And I'm glad my father whooped my ass. But I told him it was because we had reoccurring things going on that was escalating. And I was I was like, look, man, at the time, I was basically foreign in the element I was in. And I was like, man, I'm not going to be outnumbered. And I thought I realized at that time I was like 15 years old when that happened. And I realized then, I said, damn, I was young and I really thought, I was like, man, I thought I was in danger and I was going to protect myself. And you
in fear and think about the other pressure. Who you going to, you're going to go to one of your partners and say, oh man, I'm afraid. And then they be, oh man, what you afraid of? All those internal things and not having life experience too.
And then think of the environment he's in. Like you said, at least I was in an all-black element where I did have family or friends close around.
Hey y'all, I gotta step away for a second. UPS is here. I gotta give them my orders.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
But that's what I'm saying. Like you were saying, Auntie, think about this. The urban politician was saying, that area. Think about that area. He didn't have nowhere he could go to where he felt like he was safe. He didn't have no friends he could go to, be like, hey man, we got to deal with these crazy peckerwoods out here. He was a lone man on the island. And he was doing what he needed to do to defend himself.
Like you were saying, LVZ, out of his element. And that's a hell of a ass feeling. I can't even imagine how that kid, because I could even see it in his face, the internal stuff that he was going through. It was probably just eating at his damn soul, and he just trying to, suck up some strength and just go on out there every day and stuff. That's what I was saying. I know enough about our kids. Did you think about this kid? He working 2 jobs. He keeping his grades up. He's involved in sports. He don't want no problems. But somebody still messing with him.
And he wasn't stupid either. And what I mean by that is, all right, after what happened, he ain't go nowhere. He ain't run.
Mm-mm.
He ain't even say, "Oh, it wasn't me." He ain't do none of that. He said, "Oh no, I did it. Yes, I
But
did."
you know
Because
what,
what was
LBZ,
supposed to
you're
do?
right. You know what? You know what he was asking the cop? He was asking the cop if the guy was okay.
Yeah, is he okay? He was like, yeah, that's what he said. He was like, he was that lets you know he wasn't even trying to kill him. He was trying to keep him up off him. That
Mm-hmm.
let me know he
Mm-hmm.
was getting jumped. He poked Shorty, and Shorty felt that poke and backed up. And that's why the other twin had blood all on him. Because they was whooping on him. He got poked. Once his
Mm-hmm.
brother got poked, he grabbed him. He gonna stop beating on him immediately and go for his brother. One, because his brother just got poked, and two, he don't want to get poked.
Yeah,
And
and, then,
just
and,
to
then,
prove
and
the
that
shorty
that
was
blood stopped the whole narrative there because
right.
he didn't expect that outcome, and that kid got away as quickly as he could because he was scared.
And you can't say that he was out there maliciously trying to harm them because only one person got poked.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta make a run. So
You see what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? He only poked one person. One person got poked. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't poke both of them. He poked one of them. That to me shows self-defense. That showed, look, I'm just trying to get you off me. I ain't trying to hurt y'all. If I because if I was trying to hurt y'all, it's multiple stab wounds for both of y'all.
Mm-hmm. In
Right.
fact,
And
in
it was and
fact,
it was in fact it was just one stab on top of that. It's not like
Exactly.
he just kept going.
yeah, and listening to urban politics, they were saying that the kid had even said, don't touch me."
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Mhm.
and them boys just went straight in on him.
Right. They were trying to violate him. And Shorty was like, nah, not today.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave him that little poke. He ain't know he
Mm-hmm.
was gonna die. He just thought, all right, yeah, you gonna get sold up and you gonna understand. Next time, leave Carmelo alone.
And the thing is, I wonder what kind of background them twins got. You know,
Popular
everybody's
in that
looking at
area.
Carmelo. What kind of background do they have? How many times have they had the police called? It
Mm-hmm.
I
makes
don't
you
wonder
wonder.
at all. I don't wonder at all. I
I do.
already know. Cause it's like this. Y'all told me. Pops is a
Question:
damn criminal.
which twin lived with the SA daddy? I was thinking
Thank you.
about that all night.
Pops
Yeah,
was the criminal. They
that's
grew up
right.
in a criminal household. And look, they grew up in a criminal household with a criminal. They ain't got no problems. Look, that I'm not wondering at all. I already know they got all types of stuff in their jacket for abusing other kids, beating
Right.
other kids up. But that's Texas. It's not gonna go down. Honestly, you never gonna find it. Y'all never gonna find it. They never gonna take a record of the people they harassed and beat up and jumped. They not gonna take a record of that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's true. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
You're right about that. Because they cover for each other like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They absolutely do.
Yeah, that's why I was saying when law enforcement get in their phase of it, that's why they already put out, making threats like if you put a video out, you get arrested and all that
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
stuff.
first
You
of
know,
all, like, I blame the parent for sending them boys out in the world like that. Parents know when their kids are bullies, y'all. Don't ever believe they don't know. They know. A lot of times they don't care. That's why they don't correct the behavior. The behavior don't get corrected because 9 times out of
Yep.
10, the parent don't care, or the parent himself is a bully too. So they don't
Yep.
see nothing wrong with it.
And
mm-hmm.
and another thing, white parents leave their kids to their own devices. So if it ain't one of them, Lisa, it's just the parent wasn't there. They just left them a credit card. Oh, just order your Uber Eats and you'll be fine. Yeah, I'll be home.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to go to the tennis club. I'll be back later on tonight.
Yeah,
Well,
well, you know who the wet nurses were, right? They never had to worry about taking care of their own kids.
but you know what? You're speaking on something deep because there have been some major cases out there where, like when they had that Columbine shooting in Colorado, that kid would be locked up in the garage, and the parents never would go in there. And what black
Well,
household?
that was the same case with Peyton Gendron when he
Mm-hmm.
shot up that supermarket in Buffalo. They
Mm-hmm.
said their parents never went in. He had all kinds of assault weapons and ammo and everything up in that room, and his parents wouldn't go in there.
Ain't that
They
something?
just never went in that room.
Now, my youngest son still lives with me. He's a full grown man. Now I knock on his door, but I go in his room and I look
Right.
around. Shit.
Because you was a black mother and you was a black parent. We don't play that.
Exactly.
My father used to tell me,
right.
you don't close no doors in this house.
Exactly. A black parent ain't playing no, you can't come in my room stuff. See, that's what white kids say to their parent.
Lisa,
but as a black parent, you ain't gonna tell us we paying for an apartment or paying for a house and some little kid gonna tell us what we can and cannot do, what room we can go in. We would tear his ass up.
I'm about to say he be sleeping on the porch by the end of the night.
No, Lisa, in the region that I lived in, they taught it. When the social service department came to our school to teach us about drugs and sex and everything, they told us our room was our property. I never forget it. And I came home and told my mother about that. My mother told me the clothes on my back, she owned it. She said my ass will be walking down the street naked. And a black mama mean that. They mean that.
Yeah,
they was telling us that.
When my son was little, he told me, True Royal, he was going to run away from home. And I told him to strip down, take all them clothes off, because I paid for it. So if you're going to run away, you're going to be running away butt naked.
Yeah, you can run away. My father said, you can run away. Just make sure you leave all the food, all the clothes, all the video games I bought. You can leave them in here if you want to run away. I remember we said that to my brothers and them.
Shit. And you know what? Show you how smart black kids is. They process that shit real fast and be like,
you know what? I'll take the punishment because I ain't gonna be able to do all that.
No, they sure won't.
Let me say something real quick. I just thought of something. If you are from Texas and you got one of them videos and you listening to us, send one of us the videos. We'll show it. They can't lock us up. We ain't in Texas.
That's true. I was thinking about that too, LBZ. Yeah. You can
make sure you
know what? Eventually that's gonna get leaked, y'all. Yeah. Make no mistake. People ain't gonna sit on that stuff forever. It's gonna get leaked.
Yeah, we not in Texas. They can't lock you up for something I did. You didn't release the video.
I want to see the law that says you get arrested for showing a video. I want to see that law. What's that law called?
You know, after the George Zimmerman thing, not George Zimmerman, damn it, George Floyd thing. They was pushing across the country to suppress videos that it's against the law. It's considered messing with the ongoing investigation. And some of them red states did pass those laws that you can't show video or stuff like that. If they say no,
I'm in a blue state. I'm in a blue state. You can send it to me.
That's why I say send it to us. We're not in those red states, so it's possible that that's a law. But so send it to us where we ain't by that law.
They can reroute it and send it to one of our brothers and sisters across the pond, and then across the pond they can send it back around this way.
Right. You can send it to one of our brothers and sisters over in the UK. What they gonna do?
There you go.
I didn't release the video. I showed it to a friend of mine.
Send it to somebody in Canada, because Canada hate the US right now. Send it to somebody in Canada.
Yeah. Know anybody in Canada? It'll be all over the news by tomorrow.
Oh Lord. In heavy rotation.
Yep.
Yeah.
These people full of it. I just finally got caught up on the case. I'm looking at a post Torian put up. Keep in mind, I done got suspended from Twitter the last 3 months, like 8 times for threatening people. Talk about this threat. Cause I said if I see somebody in the streets in DC, I'm gonna punch them in the mouth. Okay, but all I'm threatening you with is a hook. Some people I ain't even say that. I said, man, is it anybody in the world with a more punchable face? And they said that that was threatening. Meanwhile, Torian reposted stuff. Re,
LBZ,
repo-
you know you out there stoking.
oh, I am. I ain't
You
gonna lie,
out there
man.
poking your
I'm
LBZ.
not
You
gonna
out
lie to
there
none of
poking
y'all.
the bear. You know you
Oh yeah,
poking the bear.
yeah, I definitely am. I'm never gonna lie. Yeah, I am. And I do be telling them, oh yeah, I'll catch you in DC one day. Trust me, I'm gonna catch you all. But the funny thing is, this Carmelo joint after they let him go, some broad named Lily posted, "This is why we used to hang niggers." And then
Wow.
somebody went, "We can't do nothing about it." Dude said, "Unless we kill them." All of that is still up. How is that not threats? How is that not
Mhm.
threats?
And
I
that
would have
is not why they hung us.
no, that
Okay.
would it
Nine
still
times
isn't.
out of 10, they hung those men. They were businessmen and they were jealous that they were able to walk off the slave field and become a
And
millionaire,
become more
running their
successful
own
than that.
businesses. That was why. It was not because they were running around causing problems. They weren't.
Mm-mm.
And,
Mm-mm.
and, and it wasn't because they were well, I can't say that. They were the people in Rosewood was defending themselves. The people in Tulsa was defending themselves. That's why they bombed them, because they was defending themselves. But the reason that they was jealous, because those people was more successful than them. And the reason
Exactly.
that those white boys was mad at Trayvon, them white boys was mad at Carmelo because he was successful.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
just said it. He was an honor
Yeah.
student. His
Mm-hmm.
mom was doing good. His mom was doing well, made money. He lived in a gated community.
Moms didn't even have to work. Pops took care of the whole family.
See what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
look at that. Look at that right there. So the nerve of this Negro doing that in Texas. Who do he think he is?
Yeah, they didn't
Up to the
investigate.
Negro.
Like I said, he been in there 12 days. They can find, they trying to find some dirt and they couldn't find nothing.
Right.
That
And
disturbed
they
me.
won't. And they won't. In 12 days, trust me, in 12 days, if he got suspended from school, they going to let you know.
Yeah, he prick a
Yep.
finger.
So they didn't find nothing.
He prick a fingernail. You know how they is with us. They make anything, any little thing that they can find. They
Yeah.
always
Look,
that's the way that like I said, when they start investigating stuff,
they
you
look
be
for your back. They look for what they can find on the victim. Remember, Trayvon had a weed pipe in his car. He had the middle finger up on
yeah.
on his social media post.
And you know how many pictures I've seen of white kids with weed in their mouth, pictures of them holding assault teenagers, not
Yep.
even grown men, holding assault weapons in pictures. I mean, come on. If you're gonna get all upset about if you're not getting upset about that, how are you gonna get upset about Trayvon?
Right.
Yeah.
But think
And
about
that
it.
was the point I even made back then.
That's what I'm about to say. I'm thinking about what both of y'all saying is totally true about how they'll scrub, they'll search everything they can to find anything. Remember, they couldn't find nothing on Mike Brown, so then they just went to he's a big Negro.
Yeah,
Remember,
his size. Yeah,
remember
his
they
size.
really never said
Well,
Mike Brown ever did.
it's not a crime to be a big black guy. That's not a crime.
But that's what they went to, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't it what they went to? Well, he was so big. Like he was so because at first they tried to say he stole blunts.
Yeah.
And when the video came out, it didn't show that at all.
It didn't show that at all. As a matter of fact, the video came out that he had already purchased them, but left them there, told the bodega guy, I'll be back, came back to get them. It was a different store man. And he
Yeah.
didn't know about it. He like, man, you gonna give me my stuff. And he took it and he walked off.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So y'all know how y'all know that this boy is totally innocent they couldn't dirty him up in 2 weeks.
No, and they're not going to at this point.
Uh-uh.
They're not going to. And whatever that judge saw, I think that was a very defining point.
Thank
And
goodness
that's why
it was one of
that
us.
bail got lowered and she let him get out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she would never have done that if he was the aggressor on that video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's how I know he didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, she probably seen a number of videos.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can't withhold it from her.
Mm-mm.
Like they're trying to do with the public.
Boy, they were so upset when I was reading them comments. They was like, see, yeah, a black judge, go figure.
What's up with CJ Pearson, man? I know that CJ stands for Coonish Jigaboo, but good Lord, Tori and Rain had posted something. That might look, Coonan, I said Coonan don't save you. But, and guess what else Coonan will do? Coonan will age you. How's that boy look older than me?
Oh, I mean, hey, and not only that, LVZ, look at Jason Whitlock. Jason looks awful. He looks awful for his age.
He sure do, Lisa. He looks so miserable over there. And his, I mean, he just messed up in the head. The more he keeps speaking against the black community, the worse he look.
Yeah.
That's
yep, that is the truth.
Mm-hmm. Wear yourself out. Wear yourself out, boy.
Mm-hmm. All right, y'all. This is a video of Karmelo being released with his attorney. So I'm going to show you this from Fox 4. Give me a 1 if everybody can see the screen. Thank you. All right. Yep, they're going to show us some commercials. Oops. All right.
Past hour, 17-year-old Karmelo County Jail after posting bond. A judge reduced his $1 million. He's facing a murder charge. Teenager Austin Metcalf while at a track meet at a Frisco high school. Stephen Dial is in McKinney with more. Stephen.
Karmelo Anthony left the Collin County Jail in a suit, but
y'all hold on. I'm gonna start this over.
had nothing to
It's
say
just
to the
not
reporters
playing
before
very
he got
well.
into that vehicle. The district court judge.
17-year-old Karmelo Anthony has been released from the Collin County Jail after posting bond. A judge reduced his bond this morning from $1 million to $250,000. He's facing a murder charge after police say he stabbed another teenager, Austin Metcalf, while at a track meet at a Frisco high school. Stephen Dial is in McKinney with more. Stephen.
Karmelo Anthony left the Collin County Jail in a suit, but had nothing to say to the reporters before he got into that vehicle. The district court judge says that she looked at all the factors in this case, him not having a criminal history, and that led to her making her decision to reduce his bond. 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony was silent after bonding out of the Collin County Jail and being placed on house arrest.
How is this self-defense?
2 days after the family of Austin Metcalf buried their son, they were at the Collin County Courthouse for a bond reduction hearing Monday. Karmelo Anthony is accused of stabbing and killing Metcalf at a Frisco track meet earlier this month. Quickly become national news, drawing a lot of attention, resulting in threats and increased security at the courthouse.
Threats and, talk of race war and all kinds of insanity isn't good for, obviously, the Anthony family. It's not good for the Metcalf family.
Cameras were not allowed inside the courtroom, but we did capture the Anthony family arriving. His father, Andrew, testified in the hearing. District Court Judge Angela Tucker said that she's never gotten this volume of calls and had to have this level of security in the courtroom in her 13 years on the bench. Court documents say Anthony stabbed Metcalf during a fight. When an officer arrived, court documents say Anthony told the officer, "I was protecting myself." Collin County District Attorney Greg Willis spoke after the hearing.
The judge has made the call, and so what's important is what's next, and it's our job to be based and to follow the truth wherever it leads.
Anthony's father testified he's taking a leave from work because of the incident, and his wife is a stay-at-home mother with 3 other children. During the hearing, the prosecution brought up the fact that more than $400,000 have been raised for the Anthony family, saying a reduction is not needed because they have the funds. A big question in this case will be, why did Anthony bring a weapon to a high school stadium? It's a question that was asked of his attorney.
That's an understandable question, but it's not something that, frankly, we're prepared to even go into.
Now, in the opening statement to the media from that interview that you just heard, he led with talking about self-defense. Again, the court documents mention self-defense. We'll have to wait and see how that defense will be made in court when things pan out. Now, according to the judge, the terms of the bond are house arrest and ankle monitor. She told him to stay off social media, and he has to personally call her bailiff every Friday morning, not his parents, but him. And there's a list of other things that is set. And if he violates that, he'll return to the Collin County Jail.
All right, Stephen Dial live for us. Thank you, Stephen.
I could answer the knife question.
Go ahead.
Because he had been harassed before, obviously.
Look, I mean, I believe he was.
And that's what I was about to say. I don't know why that wasn't the obvious conclusion. It was why did he bring a knife anyway? He'd been harassed before. And I can also, he was at a stadium in Texas at a track meet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me let y'all know something. Earlier this year, right? My nephew Terry, he played for DeMatha. They won the Maryland State Championship. They went to Ohio to play football against the best team in Ohio, and they beat them. They was beating. And my god brother and my brother and all them called me. They like, bruh, I'm glad you ain't come up here. We be in jail. I said, what happened? He said, so we beating this team, and you know it's a bunch of big country white boys, and we whooping them up here. He said, we beating this team, and we beating them so bad that the fans is mad. He say, so one of our kick returners get hurt. And they go, that's right. Well, if we can't beat him, at least hurt him. And my brother turned around looking like, what you just say? And my other brother, Ron, was there, was like, ma'am, them are a bunch of damn kids. Are you over there wishing for children to be hurt? I said, man, do you understand that's the mildest thing you probably would have heard? Because I've got another nephew that plays football, and my brother told me he was hearing them calling them the N-words in the stands.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Karmelo didn't bring that knife for those kids. He might have bought them so he could sit in the stands safely. Because sometimes these parents at these events can get it cracking with the kids. And you might not, and if you're a black parent sitting around a whole bunch of white parents, you better have something. So he could throw that out easy. Like, well, I mean, all Karmelo got to say is, well, look, it's been incidents plenty of times at track meets where these people see me rooting for my team or see us rooting for our school. And some parent come and get sideways and out of pocket. I was just defending myself. I was just making sure if anything go down, I have something to defend myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking of something else.
Yeah.
Because of that state, people can carry guns.
Right.
It's not unusual for people to have weapons on them. Because when I was listening to Urban Politics, they even talked about that heavily. You know, living in that state, you really get a feel of what's going on. That, you know, he was even saying, you know, coming up as a kid, he kept a knife on him. All the dudes said, oh yeah, I had a little knife on me. They didn't keep a knife on him just to purposely go out to go do something to someone. That was just something standard that they did.
Yeah.
You know, and it's and now when I think about it even deeper, you know, me working in an environment with a lot of men, the majority of them all damn near had a knife on them. It's just something that they just had on them all the time. I would see it on the side of their pants, you know, in a little case or something like that. It's just something I was just processing. That's all.
Yeah.
The
Nah, you absolutely right though. In a state, that was another thing that caught me. Why would you ask that in a state where concealed and carry is good for everybody?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying about. I said everybody in Texas is walking out in the damn open with all kinds of guns and assault rifles and stuff. They're allowed to do that there. So how are you going to make a big deal out of a knife if somebody got a knife? That doesn't even make any sense.
And you know, and boy, it's making me think deeper. Okay, the majority of my family on my mother's
I hear static too. I don't know who that is, but I do hear that static.
That was LVZ. I wanted to make this comment. I was just thinking I'm thinking out loud. The majority of my family on my mother's side come from Texas or just down south in general, Arkansas. And as coming up as a child, my grandmother kept a knife on her at all times. At all times. It was not unusual for my own grandmother to have a knife. And I know why my grandmother always kept a knife. Because she loved going fishing. And she always kept her little knife on her to cut up her little bait and do all her little, you know, and do her thing. But I was just thinking out loud that a number of family members, because I thought it was unusual in one sense when I first was coming up, because me coming from California, that a number of family members kept knives on them, even the women.
Well, I mean, it is nothing. There's no law that says if you're in Texas, you can't have a knife. And I noticed these white supremacists online. That's one of the things they're making a big deal out of. I said, well, that's really not a defense. If you are an open carry state, that's not a defense at all.
No, that's
you
not.
You can't go with that. Oh, well, he had a knife. You're in Texas, man. I'm sorry. I don't see how that flies.
That's like saying he had a baseball bat. Okay, but y'all carry guns.
Well, you know, they did experiments like they had a number of years ago. They had a white girl walk through a college campus with an assault rifle. Didn't y'all remember that? And
yep,
remember that.
You know, doing a test to see how people was gonna react. But when it come to us, we could have a damn nail file, and that's a weapon.
That ain't nothing but guilt. So anyway, y'all, the bottom line is what I want to say. I'm glad this young man is out of jail. I don't believe he belonged in there in the first place.
So glad,
he should never have been out, and he should never have been locked up.
I was concerned about him being in jail with the racial climate and stuff like that, and keeping him protected. You know, I don't trust these guards at all.
Thank you, Auntie. You know, I was worried about that too. I said, I hope they don't try Sandra Bland.
Exactly. But I know they were butt sore because Karmelo Anthony, you know, his fundraiser had more money than Austin Metcalf. And I know they were fuming over that.
They fume over every damn thing, you know. And the thing that they do that gets me is they'll do something foul to us, and then they'll go out and raise astronomical amounts of money to rub it in our face. Do you hear us out here disproportionately complaining? They, even though we may not like it, they have that right, and we have that damn right too.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
We have the right to defend ourselves. We have the right to raise money for our own, so they can have a good defense.
Right.
You want us to be defenseless at all costs. They really got us
And
messed up
they
with that.
always try. And another thing, they always try to get us to turn against our own. I remember when George Floyd was unalived. I remember one of them came in my comment section, said, see, y'all defend everything. He was a criminal. I said, I don't care what he was. He was not no criminal at the time he was being killed.
There you go.
When Derek Chauvin had his knee on him, he wasn't committing no crime. I don't want to hear all that mess.
I'm glad that you said that, Lisa, because when I first found out about this case, I can't remember the name of the channel, but how I found out about it, it was 3 black guys that, like, they watch videos and then they make a comment on it, right? So they showing the news clipping and all and stuff. Now this is real fresh out the door. And all 3 black guys sided with the twins. And when I read the comments, it was a shitload of white folks in there, and they was praising the black guys. And
That is the Cartier family. I think you had to see them. I never knew who those boys, the Cartier family. Those are those coons that Donald Trump invited down here when he was inviting coon influencers from YouTube.
Okay.
Them 3 are coon. I think they coon brothers.
Okay, it was 3 of them, and it's like they be sitting in the chair, and you can see their reaction.
They called the Cartier family. They never met a black person who got killed by a white person who didn't deserve it.
Yeah, and they was sitting up there going, "Oh yeah, I'm disgusted, and he needs to go to jail." And the way they was depicting this kid was like he was some kind of thug that just showed up out of nowhere with a knife. And I was thinking, something ain't right with this. And I'm reading all these comments, and then white folks was in there just praising them brothers and praising them and everything. And it was like, oh, family, we got some black people that ain't jumping to conclusion and making race out of it. Okay, I'm glad that you told me about that, because I seen them in my suggested feed. And it caught my eye, and that was the first time I ever watched any videos over there of them.
I want to raise one question back on Karmelo Anthony. I noticed when he was walking with his attorneys and leaving the court, y'all noticed the only reporters that were out there were white?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, was that really self-defense? You see that? They did. I noticed all of the reporters that were running behind, none of them were black reporters. They were all white.
That was done on purpose. That was
all
done on
reporters
purpose.
were white.
I wanted to add, somebody had said that Joe Brown sided with those twins. Joe Brown had lost his mind a long time ago. So
thank you, Auntie. Joe Brown been cooning.
I don't even listen to Joe Brown.
Yeah, don't listen to Joe Brown.
I did, but I don't listen to him no
Joe
more.
Brown, a big old jiggaboon, sellout butter biscuit eating coon. Fuck his big head ass.
He need to go take his tired ass somewhere and go sit and go have several.
And go, see his big head. Yeah. Now let me. I hate to have to do this. It was one white supremacist who actually got it right.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Pool said that, hey, us on the right wing as conservatives, we can't start acting like self-defense changes depending on who does it.
Right.
And he literally went through the evidence piece by piece. He said, look, he was sitting there, and if they just tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, dudes, you're in the wrong spot, and he stabbed him, that's totally wrong. He said, but no, from all indications, they tried to assault him. He said, now, he said, it's not up to us to judge how you defend yourself. He said, we can't sit here and say that just because he getting beat with fists, that's how he should respond in return. Because we don't know if he was really scared for his life. Man, them white folks came after him, and he stood his ground and was like, no.
But what he's saying was right. And number two, you can't delete the factor that it was a 2-on-1 fight, and those twins were much bigger than him. He had every right to do anything he could to defend himself at that point.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Then when he said about the knife, he said, we keep talking about the knife. He said, what if it was a steak knife near and he grabbed it for protection? He said, we got to stop with this. I was like, damn, is this the white supremacy?
You know what, LBZ? It's always like that when it's us. You can be in an open carry state, and a black man, I remember years ago, I saw a black man walk into a Walmart in an open carry state. It was other people in the store with guns, but the security guard tackled him down to the ground.
Him, yep.
Y'all remember that?
Yeah, they did. Broke his ribs. Broke his ribs.
Yeah. See, they got this thing in their head that everybody can carry a weapon except for black people. We can't carry a weapon, but anybody else that's not us, it's okay for them to carry weapons. And I'm sorry, I ain't living by your rules. No. If I'm in an open carry state and I want to carry, that is my business to do so. I'm sorry, these ideas and this BS that you got cooked up in your head, no, I'm never going by that.
And you know the other thing that has run across my mind, how we have to continue to have that conversation with our sons. You know, you I mean, it's a whole thing where, okay, if they drive in a car, you got to have that conversation about the cops pulling them over. If they just out and about in the world, then you got to have that damn conversation with them. It's like, we ain't safe nowhere we go. Damn. You know, you had a damn track meet and getting harassed. You know, it ain't like he was driving in a car and got to look in the rearview mirror. Oh boy, get ready to get pulled over. So I got to go through this song and dance and stuff. They deputize themselves and they feel like they have the right to do that.
Lions Den wrote about stand your ground, but see, here's the problem. When they wrote that law, they literally wrote that law for white people. That's why every time one of us try to use that law, they always try to throw it out.
I was just talking about that on my channel. I was like, do you understand? Stand your ground, castle doctrine does never applies for us, because every time, whenever black people use it, and it is clear, mostly when white people do stand your ground, it's gray. It's never really clear, because a lot of times you find out that they were the aggressor. They were poking the bear and they were trying to antagonize you so that they could shoot you. In black people's cases, 9 times out of 10, they were trying to get away. They were minding their own business. And then this happened, they stood their ground. And almost every case that happens in every state that happens, it is never the George Zimmerman treatment. You go in for the night and go home the next day. You always get locked up, get a murder charge, all of that. Think about Zimmerman didn't get a charge till people start protesting. Because remember, he was just allowed to go home. Conversely, I forgot the brother's name in Georgia for the castle doctrine. When the white man came at him with a knife and he shot him for threatening his kid and coming at him with a knife. And then his white neighbor even confirmed, yeah, the guy took off at him with a knife. They gave that man murder and kept him in jail.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how
but that law was never intended for us. And you can tell by the way, every time we use it, they always find a way to get it thrown out. I just noticed that consistently.
Yeah, they did that. Remember when we was talking about that the other day, Lisa, with that sister down in Florida that had killed her no, she didn't kill him. Shot at her ex-husband.
What's her name? Michelle Alexander or something?
Yeah,
was that her name?
Yeah,
She
and
shot up in the air. She didn't even shoot the motherfucker.
He
She
didn't
yeah,
even,
shot
shot,
in the
yeah,
air.
shot up
and he
in the
aimed
air.
the gun at him. Yeah.
And when they took her to court, they even had ex-girlfriends say this dude was whipping women all up and down the street. It was a known fact that he was beating on that woman and other women. No, it's a
Thank
black
you.
woman. Lock her up, take her from her kids. They put that woman through hell.
Thank you, talking, grubbing, media. It was Marissa Alexander. I remember that.
Marissa, that's right.
Thank you, talking and grub. I knew it was something. It was Marissa, I knew it was something, Alexander. And that sister ain't even shoot the man. And they try to give her what? Attempted murder charges
Mm-hmm.
for shooting in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, they always made sure when it comes down to the law that it is always enforced differently on us.
Mm-hmm.
And you're seeing it even in this case. Look at how these folks are reacting like this dude, no matter what, he should not have defended himself. That's what they're pretty much saying online. No matter what happened, he should not have defended himself. No, things ain't going down like that. I'm sorry, y'all. Those days are done. We are not in chattel slavery no more, and you don't got it like that no more.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't going down like that no more.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm going to definitely follow this case. Every now and then one of these profiles will come out, and some of them are definitely worth following, like this one. I'm
Oh yeah,
definitely going to keep my eye on
this
this one.
Yeah, this one is definitely worth following. And I just wanted to add, when it come to us, I'm gonna wholeheartedly defend my folks just like they defend theirs. I'm not trying to get no damn approval from the enemy at all. My folks could be wrong as two left feet, and I'm still supporting my folk. I'm taking their attitude.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So, this is just another example of it, how the law, when it was Daniel Penny, oh, they were on here cheering and on. No, he shouldn't. He should get off. Oh, they were all over social media talking about he defended people on that train. And, Jordan Neely was not even harassing anybody he wasn't physically harming anybody on the train. He was just yelling, but a lot of mentally ill people do that. And people in New York will tell you they see those kind of people on the train all the time.
You sure do.
And they do.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this shit is crazy. This is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This is just crazy. Like I said, this Texas being Texas, I'm happy. And that was the other thing I wanted to say. True Roy, you made it sound even milder. You made it sound milder than what it was. Because when I just heard that damn video, like I said, I was trying to figure out why they had. No, them crackers actually had the nerve to say, "No, don't lower the bond. They got money. They already got money." Man, when has that ever been said?
That's true.
Right.
You're right.
Yeah.
When has that ever been said? When has that ever been said about some white person?
Never.
It was even. I said, hold up. So they saying, no, keep the bond where it is. Them niggas got money. That's basically what they say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because they were tripping off of the lifestyle that they lived.
Yay!
Yeah.
They was bringing. I thought they just brought up the GoFundMe. Nah, they were bringing up the fact that dad make good money.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, none of that got nothing. That is all of it. That's why I'm glad it would. Now, that's another thing I'm gonna say too while I'm on here. Y'all, I want y'all to pay attention to the optics. Carmelo Anthony's father is a genius. And I'm gonna tell you why. That lawyer is a white man.
Mm-hmm.
That is a genius move, y'all. We gotta start. I know that. I know. how it sounds. We gotta start doing that more though. In certain cases like this, in states like that, it does not help to go get Ben Crump.
No,
Oh
because
no, he's not the right attorney for this anyway.
no, he's
Yeah,
not.
He
but
is more, or he's
No.
more for your wrongful death
right,
kind of cases. But
And then
a criminal case, he's not even the right lawyer for that.
yeah, and LVZ, what you're saying is, I know where you're coming from. He know
mm-hmm.
that white boy know his folks. He know how
Thank you,
they think, and he know how they get down.
thank you. And then,
So,
and you see what he did, Auntie? You see
mm-hmm,
the first thing he did? He got him a what kind of judge, y'all?
mm-hmm,
He got him a
Mhm.
black judge. And
mm-hmm,
That's good.
if y'all don't know, yes, his lawyer did that. How do I know? As a person who got off of charges before with paid white lawyers, my white female lawyer was like, no, I don't want you to have this judge. He's real conservative, and
mm-hmm.
he sees a young black man come up there, he ain't gonna have no leniency. This judge right here likes me, and he's more liberal. He's gonna be more on your side. Get you when you in a situation like Carmelo's, it's best to have a white lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I
in
know where
certain
you're coming from.
circumstances, you're right. That's
Yeah,
exactly
absolutely.
what you should have.
Mm-hmm.
You
Absolutely.
know, I had to crop the picture you sent, but I'm gonna show y'all the picture of the judge that the True Royal family sent me. So I just kind of cropped out some of the parts of your computer screen.
Mhm.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is the
Okay.
judge
Mm-hmm.
that lowered his bond and allowed him to leave prison.
And protect this sister.
Mm-hmm.
Protect this
Mhm.
sister. Cause
Yeah, they said they had to beef up security at the courthouse, because of her ruling. Angela Tucker, that's right, Judge Angela Tucker. Hmm.
protect
Yeah,
that.
sometimes we do have other judges like Olu Stevens.
Stevens, yeah.
Yeah, see, sometimes we do. They
Right.
may be hard to find, but they are
Fine.
still out there.
And you gotta have the right lawyers to find them. Because you
Yeah.
will have lawyers that you pay that will not get you a Olu Stevens. He'll get you that Peckerwood that Kyle Rittenhouse had.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
you might well just go over to the bell and say, give me the keys. Because this is just a waste of time. Give me the keys. Which cell do I get in? You might well do that. So yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. You know, yeah, we know some of these melanated judges are coons too. We've
Yeah.
seen plenty of that too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Look, y'all saying she a Republican. Okay, I really don't care. She's
I don't
black.
care. She
She
did
did
the
her
right
job.
thing
She
in
did
this
her
case.
job.
I don't care.
She
She
did her
did the
job.
right thing in this
Yeah.
case, whether she's a Republican or
Republican
not.
or not.
In this
Yeah.
case, she did the right thing.
Yeah, she
And
did
he
her
must
job.
right. He must have knew. Trust me, that lawyer knew. Whether it's Texas. A lot of them is Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
But he mustn't trust me. He knew that he was gonna get a better shake with her than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you. The
Mm-hmm.
lawyer tells you that half the time. I told you, I'd have had a couple of cases where the lawyer that told me, no, LeVar, this the judge I want you in front of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But I hope he's going to be okay because this poor child, he suffered so much trauma in these
Yeah,
last 12 days.
that just broke my
Just
heart
hope
because I
he's going
was
to be
thinking
all right.
he in his teen years and he has to go through this. There's a lot of things that he's going to miss out on. And this is going to, the thing that I hate is um, this is a righteous passage for a lot of black males in America. It's always something negative, and And it's a crazy thing.
Right. And the thing is, if he lose, with a case like this, under many circumstances, this can even keep him from going to college.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it
You
affects his
know.
life in so many ways,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And I'm even wondering if the family even moved out of state, because these people are so crazy.
They should. They
Mm-hmm.
should. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think nowhere is safe for Texas for them right now.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just hope he is okay, because this is a lot of trauma for somebody his age to be going through.
And you can
Mm-hmm.
see it in his face. I haven't seen a picture yet where this boy don't look distressed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the part. Yeah, that's why I'm so glad he's out of jail. So it takes some type of stress off of him, because
Yeah.
Right.
the comfort of being being with your family. And then another thing I noticed, you see the different dynamics when you have a father at home that got his mind right, and how he didn't take the
Yeah.
leadership. He ain't getting up on camera running his mouth and all of that. He
Nope.
let them people do the talking, because that's another thing that we got real bad. We think we got to get up here and run our mouth and all this stuff, or start using religion to thinking
Yep.
that's to make people like us and all that kind of that none of that crap work.
Right. Get off that old.
Let the people let the experts do what they can do.
Right.
Mhm.
Right, bro. You're right. Get off that
Mhm.
old shit. Get off that. When your people, when it's time, if your people get in trouble and you need to get out something legal, let the experts handle it. Only time
Mhm.
you supposed to talk is if the experts ain't that you paid ain't doing what you paid them to do. Then you come out in front of the public like, no, this guy's misrepresenting my son, and
Yeah.
we're gonna make legal changes. That's all you need to say.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But don't
Mhm.
do a
Mm-hmm.
whole bunch of filibustering and
Mhm.
stuff, because all you're gonna do get these Peckerwoods ammunition.
Mhm. That's true.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
true. Because
Mm-hmm.
that made me think of that case where that cop shot that brother in the back and then planted the gun on him,
Yep.
and that brother that got killed, his mother, you could tell the woman was a religious nut. She was a bully. She's sitting up here trying to get people to know Jesus. She got his picture there, and the
I'm gonna
males in
show
the
y'all. I'm gonna show y'all something that also sent MAGA over the edge. Go ahead and finish, True
yeah,
Royal.
and the males in the family, I could tell they was used to her being the bully, and I'm like, this is not helping the case at all. What is this woman sitting up here singing spiritual hymns out here on the world stage? I just dropped my head. I said, wow, this is
See, this
terrible.
is this is another thing sending MAGA over the edge. Look at this title.
Mhm. Let me see
Hold
here.
on.
Oh yeah, I know about that.
Uh-huh. This is another thing they are upset about. See, they want only us to be the people forgiving. They want it to always be us. They don't want to
Mhm.
see their own people say this when, the perpetrator or the one that took their loved one out was one of us.
I think that came
Oh,
from
they are
Lisa.
mad as hell over this too.
I thought about that last night about the father forgiving, and I'm wondering if that came from his behavior with the SA charges. And
Well, I think so. And I believe because he knows people are going to be looking at the family with a fine tooth comb.
I was about to
yeah,
He
say,
knows that
I was about to
already.
say, Auntie, you know what I think that is? Guilty conscience.
mm-hmm,
He
mm-hmm,
know his damn son. He know his son was a bully.
Right.
mm-hmm.
And he
That
knows how those boys were raised.
yeah, I was
He
about to
knows
say,
how they were raised.
because out of all of the times in my life, something like this that happened, this the first white man that done ever done that.
Yeah, that
Yes.
blew my mind, and he did that immediately.
That let you know, hey, look, I know my son. I forgive you because I already know. He was probably
Mm-hmm,
beating you down, harassing you, calling you all types of N words. I know what he does. I
mm-hmm,
know what he does. I raised him to do it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He ain't stupid. He
Because
know.
they radicalize their kids at home. And why do you think you see the Peyton Gendrons and these old child school killers and all that stuff? Because they be radicalizing these children right at home.
Mm-hmm. They do.
And you could best believe the twins that were out bullying, that's exactly what happened. They got radicalized in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, his father came out and did this, and you know, they went over the edge over this too.
Look at that
You know,
little
that ain't
demon
supposed
face.
to
Is
happen.
that a picture of him with his dad?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. He
Yes.
looking. He
Yes,
looking
it is.
all. He looking
Come
all.
on
hard.
now.
I was
Am
tripping
I the
off
only
that
one to
too.
see that? Come on, y'all.
I was
His
tripping
father
off
see
that
he
too.
grinning in the ear to ear. Who takes a picture with their father like that?
Yeah, they walk around. That's how they walk around like that. That's a bully.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. And I want to thank all of you for being here. Thank True Royal and the One LVZ for joining me on the panel for this topic. And trust me, there'll be plenty of topics to talk about with all the stuff going on in this country every day. We ain't going to run out of things to talk about at all.
Oh Lord, Lisa, I had to say this is the first time ever the every day, you know, with the Trump stuff, you ain't gonna miss a beat. That
you sure won't.
It ain't even enough channels out here. It's so much stuff going on.
Oh, hold on, Brother Morial, you're in here. Well, shout out to you. Okay. So, y'all, you know, no, we ain't going to run out of nothing. And you know why? Donald Trump ain't going to let us run out of nothing.
At all.
He ain't going to let us run out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
At all.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa,
I wanted to say something. I wanted to say
go right
something real
ahead.
quick.
Go right ahead.
Because it's just on my heart so heavily. I wanted to thank each and everyone for supporting my GoFund. I haven't had an opportunity to go into my emails, and Lisa know why, because I'm dealing with some stuff behind the scenes. But I just thank y'all, and I really need y'all prayers. So I'm just thanking everybody for doing what y'all do, because it's a lot of people that did things anonymously, and I'm just thank y'all, because I'm under a lot of pressure, under dealing with a lot of family dynamics. So just thank y'all, my royal family. Thank you very much.
Yes, and I did post the GoFundMe in my community tab. So you can go over there if you want to donate. All of the information is right over there, because I know many of you go to my community tab all the time. All right, y'all.
Oh, and LVZ, one more thing. LVZ,
okay.
you take care of yourself, and Mimi. That's the last thing that was on my mind. I want y'all to get well. I don't want you to get sicker out there. Please.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
And LVZ, you did get my picture of white Jesus whipping Donald Trump. Did you get that?
Did you ain't see my comment? I was laughing my ass off.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
You ain't see that, True Roll?
No, I
White
haven't.
Jesus was in the temple whooping the hell out Donald Trump. If y'all get y'all greedy ass up out of here.
Okay.
Taking the whip to their ass.
Yeah, so do what you got to do to y'all, to get yourself together. And little mama, I don't like Mimi being sick.
Yeah, that was killing me when my daughter called me, was like, Dad, she got pneumonia. I'm like, what? And all the while, my crazy ass at work walk around for 3 days with pneumonia. Talking about, why do I feel so weak?
Yeah, that stuff will get to your lungs, and that's why you feel you feel like you don't have a lot of energy. I've had pneumonia before.
I've had it too. Yeah.
This is my first time, and like y'all said, that's what scared me. I'm not used to being that weak. I'm like, why am I breathing like I'm running track?
I remember just walking to my restroom from my bedroom and be out of breath.
Yes.
Lord.
Can't walk to the car too fast.
No, no. When I had it as a child, LVZ, and
Man.
my mother knew something was wrong. In fact, it was like around Easter, and we were in our house in Philly, and I came down the steps, and the way I came down the steps, my mom just stopped what she was doing, and she looked at me, and she yelled out to my dad. She said, something's wrong with Lisa. Something's wrong. And then my dad came running, and my mom just grabbed me and ran out to the car. And then when I got to the hospital, when we got to the hospital, they started examining me, and they told them I had pneumonia. My mother said I came down the steps. I just looked so weak, and I was really winded, and she knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I had it
Yeah.
as a child, y'all. And I remember, and I was so traumatized from it because, at least you know what they had to do? They had to put the tube down my throat. I
Well,
had so
to
much
get you to
fluid in
breathe.
my lungs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had so much in my lungs, they had to vacuum, suck all of it out.
Oh,
And they had to do
Man.
that a couple of times. Now that's why I'm weird about things when I swallow. And if I swallow something and it feels weird, I get paranoid.
Yep.
And it's just from the trauma of going through that.
Childhood
Flashbacks
trauma.
to that.
That's childhood trauma there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's flashbacks to that. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
that's how I found out I had it, because my mother said when I came down them steps, I just didn't look right. And she knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, y'all. Please enjoy the rest of your day and be on the lookout for my videos. Shalom, family.
All right.
Shalom. Love y'all.
Shalom.
Oh, hold on. I got two. Spider-Man and his amazing friends. Thank you for the super chat. He was dealing with white supremacy, possibly killing him. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. That's why
Amen.
he had the right to defend himself.
Amen.
And
right.
David Joseph, thank you for the super chat. He said
They.
that was in Brookhaven, Mississippi, LVZ. I remember that FedEx brother. The
Yeah.
only thing saved him was he made it back to I-55. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, y'all. Shalom.
All right.
Shalom.
Shalom.